Number 1 is a real-life baby dragon that can survive 10 years without eating a single bite. There are animals living a mile beneath your feet that have no eyes, no color, and have never once seen the sun. Some have survived in total darkness for millions of years, and one of them can go a decade without food and live for a century. Stick around, because number 1 is so bizarre that for hundreds of years, people genuinely believed it was a baby dragon. We start with the cave crayfish, a ghostly white crustacean found in flooded limestone caves across the United States. Cut off from sunlight, these animals lost their color and their eyes entirely, becoming pale and translucent enough to see right through. Here's the kicker. With almost no food in the pitch-black water, their metabolism slows to a crawl, and some species are believed to live over 75 years and only reproduce a handful of times in their entire lives. They're basically the tortoises of the crayfish world, taking life one impossibly slow step at a time. Deep beneath San Marcos, Texas, in the water-filled darkness of the Edwards Aquifer, lives a creature that looks like a tiny ghost. The Texas blind salamander is bone white with feathery blood-red gills sprouting from its neck, and where its eyes should be, there are just 2 dark dots buried beneath the skin. It hunts entirely by sensing tiny changes in water pressure, snapping up shrimp and snails it can't see. It only exists in this one aquifer system on the entire planet, which means a single pollution spill could wipe out the whole species. On the Hawaiian island of Kauaʻi lives a wolf spider that's broken the family rules. Most wolf spiders are famous for having 8 excellent eyes and chasing down prey by sight. But this one, sealed inside ancient lava tubes, has no eyes at all. Found in just a few caves in one small region, it's so rare it's considered endangered. And here's the twist. Instead of laying hundreds of eggs like its surface cousins, the mother carries just a handful of enormous eggs in her jaws, hatching only a few oversized babies at a time. In the rushing underground rivers of Thailand swims a blind little fish that does something no fish is supposed to do. It walks. The cave angelfish, only discovered to walk in this way fairly recently, climbs vertical, fast-flowing waterfalls using a salamander-like, 4-footed wiggle. Scientists found it has a specially shaped pelvis that lets it grip rock and stride against the current. It's so significant that researchers study it to understand how the very first creatures may have crawled out of the water onto land hundreds of millions of years ago. In 2012, cavers exploring the dark caves of southwestern Oregon found a spider so strange it didn't just get its own species, it got an entirely new family in the scientific tree of life. They named it Trogloraptor, meaning cave robber, and it hangs upside down from the cave ceiling on a few strands of silk. Its legs end in massive, raptor-like claws that look built to snatch prey straight out of the air. The unnerving part? Scientists still aren't entirely sure what those fearsome hooks are actually for, because they've never seen one make a kill. Hidden in flooded coastal caves called anchialine systems lives the Remipede, a centipede-like crustacean that swims on its back through total darkness. For years, it looked like a harmless, primitive little swimmer until scientists made a shocking discovery in 2014. The Remipede is the only crustacean on Earth known to be venomous, injecting prey with a cocktail similar to a rattlesnake's that liquefies their insides. So among the thousands of crabs, lobsters, and shrimp out there, the one that figured out venom is a blind cave dweller you've probably never heard of. In a single water-filled cavern in the Nevada desert lives a tiny, iridescent blue fish with the smallest natural habitat of any vertebrate on Earth. The entire wild population of the Devil's Hole pupfish survives in one pool, and most of their lives revolve around a shallow rock shelf barely the size of a couple of dinner tables. The water sits at a brutal, near 95-degree temperature with very little oxygen, conditions that would kill most fish. At times, their entire global population has dropped under 200 individuals, making them one of the rarest fish in the world. Long before anyone had a word for these animals, a cave guide in Slovenia handed a strange beetle to a scientist, and in 1832 it changed biology forever. Leptodirus, found deep in the famous Postojna cave, was the very first true cave animal ever formally described, the discovery that essentially kick-started the whole science of cave biology. It has a bizarre, balloon-like, swollen body and long, spindly legs, perfect for creeping through cool, damp darkness. This one tiny beetle proved that complex life could not only survive, but thrive in a world with absolutely no light. Number 4 isn't an animal at all, but it's alive, and it's one of the most disgustingly fascinating things in any cave. In Mexico's Cueva de Villa Luz hang dripping colonies of bacteria called Snottites, which look exactly like long strands of mucus oozing off the walls. These microbes feed on toxic hydrogen sulfide gas and drip fluid as acidic as battery acid, with a pH that can approach 0. The most mind-blowing part? Scientists study these acid-loving life forms as a model for what life might look like on other planets. Picture the inside of the Gomantong Caves in Borneo, where millions of bats swirl through the darkness every evening. Waiting for them is the cave racer snake, which loops its tail around the slick cave ceiling and dangles its body straight down into the void. Then, in total blackness, it snatches bats clean out of midair as they fly past, with no light to aim by at all. It's one of the only snakes on Earth that hunts flying prey this way, turning the cave roof into a deadly fishing line. In the Waitomo Caves of New Zealand, the ceiling looks like a galaxy of blue-green stars, but every one of those lights is a tiny living trap. They're the larvae of a fungus gnat, and each glowworm produces light through a chemical reaction to lure flying insects toward it. Hanging beneath them are dozens of sticky silk fishing lines, like beaded threads of glue, ready to snare anything that flies toward the glow. So that breathtaking starry sky? It's actually thousands of hungry maggots fishing in the dark, and the brighter one shines, the hungrier it is. And number 1 is the olm, a pale, snake-like salamander from the caves of Slovenia and Croatia that looks so otherworldly, people once believed they were the offspring of dragons. This blind pink creature can live for around 100 years, regrow lost limbs, and survive in total darkness its whole life. But here's the truly staggering part. The olm can go up to 10 years without eating a single thing, surviving by slowing its body almost to a standstill. Researchers tracking them found one individual that didn't move from its spot for over 7 years, making it possibly the most patient animal on the entire planet. If a real baby dragon that fasts for a decade just rewired your brain, you'll love what we drop next, because there's a brand new mind-blowing fact here every single day. Which of these would you least want to meet in the dark? Tell me in the comments.